All right, we are here at the Veterans in Politics endorsement interview for the judges. I want to have you introduce yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Amy Ferreira. I am running for Las Vegas Justice Court Department 8. Super excited to be able to further serve the community. Right now, I'm one of your local hearing masters. And so I sit on the bench every day making decisions on civil cases and criminal cases. In 2022, I was named as Las Vegas Justice Court Employee of the Year. So I think that speaks a little bit to the job that I've been doing thus far. And so I'm just so excited to further serve.
That's awesome. So we're talking out here about the judiciary, and we're talking about how to improve the judiciary. You're mentioning, how it's important to have more trust in the judiciary. Can you talk a little bit about that topic?
Yeah, I think if you were to go out and poll any number of people in our community and ask them their opinion of our judicial system, you would get a lot of very negative feedback. And I think that it's so important for people who are running in justice court because that's the first step in what can be a very long judicial process. So you might have somebody who's never been to court before, they have no idea what they're doing, and you're the first person that they see. I think you have the ability to completely impact what their experience is moving forward. If they have a positive experience, maybe they want to participate in the system. Maybe they think that the system is authentic and it's working. If someone walks in and there's somebody sitting in that chair who's condescending or rude or impatient, feel like they haven't got a fair shake at it, then they're never going to have any confidence in our system. And so I think it's just so important to have good, appropriate, intelligent, kind people in that chair so that we have a system that people believe in.
There are like two or three things that you want to see done in order to further that cause.
I mean, when I think of what I would do, I think it's the simple things, right? Like you always hear stories of people who sit in court for 3 hours, they never get called, and then they get sent home. Why are we making people sit there for 3 hours? Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But it's also really easy to say, hey, you have a child you need to pick up. Do you have a workplace you need to get to at a certain time? Let's work around that schedule to the best that we can. Again, there's no way to accommodate every single person. I think there are little things that we can do to improve it. And I think when we consider that we're taking people out of their everyday lives, people who have families, people who have jobs, people who have obligations, we should make it as painless as possible, understanding that it can't ever possibly be completely painless.
Very, very insightful, actually. Now, in terms of I guess the way family law courts are run. Steve's very critical. Steve Sanson from Veterans in Politics. Is there any comments? I know you're not running for family court judge, but you're very insightful, and I'm wondering, is there any comments you have on that sector of law?
Well, I will tell you very quickly that when I was in college, I answered the phones at a family law attorney's office, and that's when I knew for sure I would never ever practice in family court.
It's funny because you're actually the third judge or judge candidate that's actually said that, which is one of the most scariest things I've ever heard in my life, actually, because the judges I've interviewed thus far seem to be very level-headed, including yourself, and I think you'd be an amazing family court judge, which is what I think would actually help the family court industry sector. So why do you say that?
There's a lot of reasons. And I will tell you generally that in sort of this experience of campaigning, I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of different members of our community. And very often people want to talk about family court. And it seems like, for whatever reason, and I don't practice there, I've never practiced there, so I don't know, but there's a significant amount of displeasure with whatever's happening in family court. I have heard comments about people saying things are not fair, things are taking an extra long time to get decided. And that's really scary, right? I mean, we want people to feel like they're getting a decision, they're getting it timely. I mean, these are important decisions that affect people's lives. We want people to have confidence in the system. So if they think something's unfair and it's taking too long, they're not going to have a very positive experience.
Wow, very, very insightful. Constitution and law. So one of the other topics we talked about, there's a lot of great judges that seem to really want to, they come from being a prosecutor background. They more or less understand the law very well. But then we also hear this other thing, and again, referencing veterans in politics, where I've seen episodes where Steve's like, does this judge not understand the law because somebody just happened to show up with some kind of grievance? Once a grievance was described, he would decipher that there's somewhat of a lack of understanding of law. Do you feel like this is an issue? And if it is, how do we fix that issue?
I mean, I suppose nobody's ever perfect, right? I mean, what you want from somebody sitting on the bench isn't somebody who thinks they know it all. Somebody who thinks they know it all will never bend to somebody else's side, even if it's the appropriate decision or the right thing to do. And so I think when you have somebody who says, listen, if there's something I don't know, let me figure it out. Let me learn it. Let me research it so I make the correct decision, not just making a decision because you're too embarrassed to say you don't know what the answer is. So to me, somebody who doesn't know something off the bat, but finds the right answer and delivers the right judgment or verdict, to me, that's the best kind of person for the job. Nobody needs to know it all. You just need to know how to figure it out.
What's your biggest asset as a judge?
I think that I'm a good person. I think so often we take that human factor out of our judges, right? We see somebody sitting in this really high chair, they're wearing this really weird black robe, they are seated higher than everybody else. And it's like, okay, who are they in their everyday life? Are they a good person? Are they a kind person? Are they patient? I think when you have somebody who's good and kind, patient, willing to listen, willing to say maybe they don't know it all, but they're willing to learn it all, that tells you a lot about how they're going to conduct themselves. Are they polite or do they think they're the smartest person in the room all the time? I think getting to know somebody off the bench is what gets to know them on the bench.